Hello, my name is Douglas Bloch. I'm an author and a depression survivor. Welcome to another edition of One-on-One with a Depression Counselor. Today we're going to talk about the topic, how living one day at a time can help you to recover from depression.
Douglas, where did you learn about the principle of one day at a time?
In the fall of 1996, shortly after I was discharged from the psychiatric hospital, I went into outpatient therapy. And there I was assigned a therapist named Pat Ritter. Now, I was facing a huge problem. I had this agitated depression. It started in September due to a bad reaction from an antidepressant of all things. And over the next 3 months, it was getting worse and worse and worse. So by the time I was out of the hospital, I was doing a lot of pacing and I was overwhelmed by my condition. Fortunately, Pat was not only a mental health therapist, she was a recovering alcoholic. And she said to me, you know, I can imagine in your situation, it feels like you're someone who's lost at sea, you've been shipwrecked and you're treading water trying to figure out how to stay alive until, you know, help comes. You need an emotional life raft to keep you afloat. And I said, how do I do that? She said, well, in AA we have something called the 24-hour plan, or one day at a time plan. Instead of promising never to drink again, we just promise to stay sober for 24 hours. So whenever you think about this overwhelming pain you're in and how you're going to survive in the long run, it's too much. Just narrow your focus down to one 24-hour day and see how you can get through that day and manage that day, and that will be enough. When I heard this, I agreed with Pat's idea. And so working together, she and I created what I called my 24-hour or my daily survival plan for living in hell. I write about this on my website. And what this consisted of was coping strategies that would help me get through not only each day, but sometimes each hour, each minute, and each breath. Because I was dealing with depression and anxiety, we had to put together a various combination of skills, which I divided into 4 parts. Physical self-care, emotional self-care, social support, and spiritual connection. And I write about these again in my book and on my website. And this plan of living a day at a time and getting through each hour and minute and sometimes second allowed me to stay afloat until eventually my condition resolved.
How can people watching this video live one day at a time?
When my clients are going through a particularly difficult, intense period of anxiety or depression, I tell them that in order to survive and make it through, they need to live one day at a time. Now, how do I tell them to do this? The key is to structure your day with a series of low-cost, doable activities and string them together to create structure for the entire day. For example, you might get up in the morning, first thing you do is maybe meditate, then write in your journal, eat some breakfast, take a walk, maybe go to the community center or the gym and work out, maybe later on, you know, have lunch with a friend. Maybe after that, maybe go to an appointment or see your therapist. But by putting these little simple activities together, by the end of the day, you'll have made it through, you know, a 24-hour period and be ready for the next day. So this is basically how you do it. You basically put together this plan where one activity follows another. Now, if you have a job, a part-time job, a volunteer job, that can provide the structure. But especially for people with anxiety, structure is essential. There was a line in a Bob Dylan song called "Too much of nothing makes a fella mean." Well, it doesn't make a fella mean, it makes the fella anxious in this particular case. So by, you know, there's an old saying, what is it? Yard by yard, life is hard, inch by inch, it's a cinch. Put together your life inch by inch, and that will make a huge difference.
What if, instead of staying in the present, your mind races to the future?
Well, when that happens, the first thing to do is to notice that your mind is in the future. Because when your mind is in the future, you're going to do something called catastrophizing or imagining the worst. And pretty soon you're going to be all worked up over nothing. So when I notice myself going to the future, I say, oh, I'm in the future. Cancel, cancel. And then I basically refocus on the present. One good way is just to take a deep breath and just feel your feet on the ground and ground in your body. Also, it helps calling a friend. As soon as you're on the phone with somebody, you're in the here and now talking with the person. Maybe taking a walk around the block or listening to a relaxing piece of music. Anything that gets you back into the here and now. because that's where we live, and that's where the point of power is to make changes, and that's where you cope one day at a time, in the present tense. This is Douglas Bloch. I hope you've learned something new and useful from watching this video. And until we meet again, I wish you the best in your mental health recovery. Thank you.